What's new everyone, and this time let's continue with the series called Should You Buy It in 2020, and this time the topic of the video is the iPhone 6, as you can see right here in front of me. I mean, this was kind of a popular iPhone with 4 million units sold on the very first day of the release of the iPhone 6. We can consider it to be quite a revolutionary iPhone because it also brought a brand new design with the 4.7 inch, but it has become kind of outdated throughout the time. So should you actually buy it and think about buying this iPhone in 2020? This is the question of this video. So let's just recap the specs a little bit. You know, it is available in two different sizes with the 6 and 6 Plus models. You know, there is only the difference in the battery and in the size of the display, of course, and the size of the entire phone, obviously, but we have the Apple 8A chip, 1.4 GHz dual-core, 64-bit CPU, and we also have 1 GB of RAM. When it comes to the storage options, I mean, most of the iPhone 6 are just equipped with the basic 16 gigs of storage, and this iPhone laying in front of you is no exception, and we also have only just 16 gigs of storage available. But we also had like 32, 64, and even 128 GB options. So one of the most outstanding features of an iPhone is the long-lasting support of the iOS and of the software in general. So with the iPhone 6, it's not the case anymore since the iPhone 6 has been discontinued and it is not supported by Apple officially anymore. By the way, if you are new here on this channel, if the Apple Fox channel is the name that you hear for the first time, then feel free to take a look at some of my other videos and also subscribe so you don't miss future videos and future content. Let's continue with this one. We are stuck with the software update with the 12.4.4, which is good and everything, but it's not running the iOS 13, which brings many great new features, and it also means that the newer versions like the expected iOS 14 will definitely not make its way to the iPhone 6, so this is kind of shame, but still, we have an iPhone that lasted really long and was really reliable. Which does not mean that if you buy it in 2020, it won't be reliable anymore, and it can actually happen that you get this pop-up, this badge next to the software, next to the settings icon with the software update, and you will probably get 12.4.5 when it gets released, only to fix some minor issues in the background and minor security flaws. One of the really cool things about the iPhone 6 is the build quality, and if you just hold the iPhone in your hand, it is made out of metal, and on the back side it's actually really solid even after using it for a couple of years. And it's also really cool because on the front side we have the classic design, which had been stuck with an iPhone for a couple of years actually, so even the iPhone 8, which is still available on Apple's website, has the very same design, so when you just quickly glance at it, it still looks like one of the newest iPhones. Of course, we do not have the Face ID, but instead we have the Touch ID, only the first generation, the same thing that was with the iPhone 5S, which was completely basic. It means that it is kind of slow, just take a look at the speed. It couldn't actually even read my finger, so let's use the thumb. Yeah, it works, as you can see, but it doesn't work that fast, and it doesn't mean that it isn't safe. It only means that you're gonna have to wait just a tiny little bit longer for the iPhone to recognize your finger and to actually unlock the iPhone. Besides the fact that the phone is actually very old, it also has really great display. For example, if you compare the PPI of the iPhone 6 of this iPhone, which is 326 pixels, you can compare it to the iPhone XR, which has the very same PPI, and we're talking about almost a brand new product and one of the newest iPhones compared to the iPhone 6. So I think that this is kind of remarkable, or perhaps the iPhone XR doesn't have that good of a display, but what I'm trying to say that the screen on the iPhone 6 is definitely not bad. When it comes to the resolution, it's really decent. The screen size, like I mentioned, is 4.7 inches. And of course, it is LED backlit IPS LCD display. And the resolution is 1334 by 750 pixels. So, yeah, it's good. It's of course not OLED, like we did not even have that on the iPhone 11, but it's pretty decent, and it's still it's actually really usable even in 2020. So when it comes to the display, I don't think that there should be any concern even in this year. But when it comes to the camera, it's still kind of decent. On the front side, the selfie camera is actually kind of capable of only recording 720p video at 30 FPS, which I don't think is sufficient for 2020, but let's be honest, how many people actually record front-facing videos? I mean, it's not really that important. But on the backside, we have a 12 megapixel camera, which is a lot more capable. It allows you to shoot really various formats of videos, so you can actually record full HD videos, 1080p of course, at 30 or 60 FPS, and you have the option to go for slow motion shots, but only at 720p, and there you have the option to go for 120 FPS or 240. So yeah, you don't have any kind of slow motion for full HD, but you can still get some really smooth shots when you shoot, for example, full HD with 60 FPS and then you slow it down in the post. I guess that you can get really some nice footage out of the iPhone. If you try, or if you decide to buy this iPhone in 2020, you will probably get a used iPhone, like a used model. And if you just really go on Craigslist and if you meet with someone and you just want to try out if the camera is working, I would just recommend you to try to focus on various different subjects and in various different distances from the camera lens to see if the lens is able to focus on them, because it happens a lot that the lens and the moving part inside of the lens actually gets stuck and it's not able to focus properly. So it really happens with the iPhone 6 a lot. It happened to me a couple of times, and I believe that I mentioned it in one of my other videos, but yeah, definitely take a look at it. But of course, not just about that, make sure that the entire thing, that the whole product actually works the way it should. Like, you obviously know that it was one of the last iPhones to have the headphone jack. The iPhone 6s was the last one ever. I'm not sure what to think about that. I don't really miss it that much, but for people that really find it essential, you can find it on the iPhone 6, obviously, but yeah, it works with the AirPods and everything. Like, you can connect the Apple Watch, AirPods and everything to this. Even though it doesn't run the latest software, it's still a very capable device. You only lack some functionalities like the dark mode and all of the things that come with the iOS 13, which doesn't mean that that this device is not secure or doesn't have great features. Like, for example, if you are not satisfied with the functionality and with the customizability, you can try to jailbreak your iPhone, and it is still possible to do it on iOS 12. It may vary depending on which version your iPhone is running, but as you can see, I tried to do it, like I did it actually, but you can see I'm not able to open anything up, and I'm not even able to delete Cydia or some other icons. So yeah, it's actually not that easy to remove it. There is a theoretical option to jailbreak the iPhone and get some additional functionalities, even though you know that it's not the same thing anymore and jailbreaking is not really that hyped. So using the iPhone normally will just give you like a usual user experience. Of course, it is an iPhone running iOS, so there are still the smooth and really nice looking animations and stuff, but of course, since the iPhone only has 1 GB of RAM, it just forgets apps in the background, and if you just try to go back to some various apps that you visited, who knows when, then the iPhone may have problem. As you can see now, it just loaded straight up, but sometimes it of course may have a problem to recognize or to go back to the previous action, to the previous thing that you are doing. So of course this is due to the lack of some additional gigs in the RAM, but other than that, it still runs pretty decent, and for many people it's just gonna be enough. You can still download all of the apps that you would download on your brand new iPhone 11, so if you just care about your budget, the iPhone 6 is not that bad, even though I would rather think about the iPhone 6s instead, just to get the iOS 13 and the 3D Touch maybe, but it's up to you, and the iPhone 6 does not mean a bad choice, I would say. One thing that I will always mention when it comes to the iPhone is that there is absolutely no problem to get any kind of accessories you would ever want, since the market of the iPhones is so saturated. There are so many people trying to sell you some cases, some accessories that do pretty much anything you could ever imagine, so there will definitely be no problem with that. And of course, with the release of the iPhone 6s, they also fit on the iPhone 6, so there is definitely no problem with that. And also one great thing about it, the iPhone 6 has a quality display, but it's not a very expensive one. It means that if you just break the screen completely, if you just drop the iPhone and it just goes off, you can just simply swap the screen without any problems even at home, and the screen will just cost you just a couple of dollars, like 20 or 30. And my brother actually used the iPhone 6 for a couple of years, and he just broke the screen over and over and kept replacing it with a new one, so it was kind of funny. But yeah, if you just break the iPhone, you don't really have to worry about it, since the parts, the replacement of individual parts shouldn't be that expensive, or shouldn't be really pain in the ass to get everything back running. So I think that the iPhone 6 is a great choice when it comes to that. I think that I have mentioned and went through some of the most important factors of an iPhone, and the most important one is the price, which means that the iPhone 6 is a really great value, and I believe that you would be able to get it for at least under $100, so it shouldn't be really that expensive anymore. So I guess that if you're trying to save money, so this could be a really great option. It looks like a new one, still looks like an iPhone, it still has the design of the iPhone 8 from the front side at least. And yeah, the performance is decent. It can lag sometimes, depending on what you do with this. It can handle some really light gaming. I mean, Minecraft should be relatively good, but some more intense 3D graphics may not run it that well, obviously. But for some basic tasks, for some phone calls and stuff, it can be a great phone, even though the speaker isn't really that loud, and you may not be able to hear when the phone is ringing. That is the case that I know people are complaining about, but other than that, it's a great iPhone. It's outdated, so make up your mind about it, and if you decide to get it, then you're just gonna save a lot of money and get a pretty decent device in 2020. So should you buy it? Depending on what you want to do with this. If this is supposed to be your daily driver, you have to get ready for some slight inconveniences when it comes to the speed or camera and performance in general, but you're gonna save some cash, so that's the good part of this. So yeah, make up your mind and decide what you want to do with this. And yeah, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy this video. If there are some parts and some things, some factors that you would like to see in one of my videos, then just let me know down below in the comments. I also, for example, in the last video, I forgot or I was wrong in some of the facts. So if there is something that you know better, just let me know down below in the comments. There is an option that I just forgot about something. So yeah, leave a like on this video if you like it, subscribe for more content, and see you guys later in the next video. Peace out.